What's up guys, this is Chris here, and today we are going to be doing the 1,000 round review of the affordable John Wick gun, the Canik TTI Combat. Woo! The Canik TTI Combat made a pretty big splash on my channel, and it made a pretty big splash in the gun industry this year because it was really the first way you can get into a Taran Tactical Innovations without having to pay an arm, a leg, a liver, and a spleen. These are relatively affordable compared to any of the other guns he makes, and spoiler alert right off the bat, it's not too bad of a gun either. Now the gun itself is a striker fired polymer frame pistol with an included single port comp. New features that it has over any other Canik. Comes in at 29.5 ounces, and it comes with 2 magazines, 18 round magazine and a 21 round magazine. It has a 4.6 inch barrel with the included comp right here, which is pretty cool. It is of a cylindrical design, so it looks really neat. It has that single port comp, which is pinned, and it's not threaded, so it's legal in places it wouldn't otherwise be legal. And at least from what I hear, it is a superior design, although I'm not a big comp expert. I just know the gas goes up and it makes it have less recoil. Now we have a accessory rail down here. We have new slide cuts that are different from the previous Canik. You get a Cerakote finish, very gold and very cool looking. We get a new optic system, new texture, new trigger. Now, the very low optic mount is really nice, and that is kind of a Taran Tactical standby. Most of his optic mounts are very, very low, and you can almost always coat into some with the iron sights, and in this one, you obviously can as well. We are rocking the Trigicon RMR Type 2 on here, although you can buy this with or without a Canik optic. Mine was, again, from Canik, although that would not change my review, and you will see that here in a second. I actually went with the Trigicon RMR just because I like them better, and it had a plate with it, so why not? Now, it comes with a blacked out rear sight and a fiber optic front, which I really like. So if you don't get an optic, you don't have to worry. It comes with a really good set of sights from the factory. Serrated in the back as well for glare, which I like, and it's big and tall. So if you want to run it off your belt or big toe, you can do that as well. Now we have ambi controls on the gun, which is neat. We have an ambi slide release on either side because that's what ambi means. We have an open trigger guard there, so if you have glove hands, you can use it very well. And then we have one of the first things I don't like, which is the extended magazine release. If you are left-handed, you can swap the other side, but it doesn't really make any difference because it's a little bit big in my personal opinion. It is certainly the first thing I didn't like about the gun when I shot it right away. And as you can see here, it's got a bunch of wear on it. That's because I took sandpaper and I sanded down the corners to make this shootable for me. Now, the trigger is very, very nice. That is kind of the selling point of Canik to begin with. Number one, they're affordable. Number two, they have some of the best triggers in the business. The only gun that I would consider that compares to this would be the PDP. They're both neck and neck. However, every once in a while they inch ahead of the other one. It has a 3.5 pound trigger on my scale, and as you can see here, it is very nice. So take up, very nice and easy break, and the reset is also very nice. Now that is because Taran from Taran Tactical, you know, Taran Butler, is like a 28,000 time champion, one of the best competition shooters that the world has ever produced, and he knows a thing or two about triggers. I've shot a lot of the John Wick guns, including both 2011s, the Glock. They all have awesome triggers, and this gun is no exception. The part that is an exception is that instead of $7,000, which is what the Sandviper is, you can get this for an MSRP of $949, which certainly is much more affordable than your standard Taran Tactical. Now, it has some cool slide cuts on it as well, but the serrations are actually very functional. So you can go from the front and you can go from the back, and she likes that, so it's good to have both. Now, the comp is an interesting design because it is not a threaded design like most compensators, and I would say that's probably to the advantage simply because that makes some guns illegal in some states, and also this one's really easy to take on and off. You just push the thing in the middle right there, turn it off about 1/3, and it comes right off, which is pretty cool, especially if you're going to clean it and stuff like that. Magwell also is relatively easy to take off. The reason why that's important is because you need to take the magwell off to get to the back strap. So if you want to switch the back straps, they come with a bunch. I have a large one on here. All you do is take the screw off and you can slide the magwell off. Most of the time when people make easy to remove magwells, they're shit, in which case this one is not. This one actually worked really well, and it's more beveled than your standard Canik, so I think they did a good job there. I know a lot of people were saying this is just another Canik with TTI painted on the side, but the reality is this one actually does have a little bit more attention to detail than the others, and it does offer offer certainly enough features to justify the included price of about $940 as opposed to the standard Canik of around $500 to $700. Now, going back to the trigger here, I do want to mention the trigger pad, and I don't normally mention that, but this one here might be my favorite I've ever had because it's so wide and they serrated it. A lot of people don't pay attention to the trigger pad, but that's actually your interface with the firearm with your trigger finger, so it matters. Not only is it wider, so it distributes the weight across the larger area, it makes the trigger feel a little bit lighter, but it also sticks on your trigger finger right where you put it on there because of serrations, and I feel like when you're shooting very long distances, that does help. Now, the comp was good and it did reduce recoil over a standard Canik, which is great because although they have awesome triggers and they're pretty accurate, the Canik pistols are generally very snappy. So adding a comp just makes sense. Add to the fact that every gun this year came out with a comp. Smith has one, Sig has one. A lot of guns are coming out with compensators now because more and more people are getting into guns and they realize they don't like recoil and comps help. Now, also the past few years, we've dispelled a lot of myths about compensators, and I feel like that is another reason why people are adding them now. It is interesting to me that tactical guns now look like open guns from 10 years ago, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I think when your life's at risk, as long as you're not sacrificing reliability, I think adding speed is always a good idea. It did work really, really well, and overall, I think it is a good system to have, especially on the Canik, because it was very snappy. Now, this one, believe it or not, is probably even comped still as snappy as a standard M&P, which is why we also ran the X300. Again, really good trigger, but she rides hard, so be aware of that. It's a very light gun coming in at 28 ounces for a full-size gun, so you have to expect a little bit of recoil, so any extra help, like with a comp and the light, is appreciated. Now, going down to the texture was really, really good, and my personal favorite texture on any Canik pistol. That being said, I like a lot of aggressive texture, like many people who shoot guns a lot. If you don't shoot guns a lot, this might be too aggressive for you. As a matter of fact, my wife actually prefers the standard texture on the standard Canik, so if you are worried about that, I would definitely go and try one of these out beforehand. Now, the reliability of the pistol was very good. Not perfect, but very good. We shot 1,000 rounds for this pistol, including defensive ammo, subsonic ammo, lower powered ammo, higher powered ammo, 115, 124, and we shot, I think, Fiocchi, Federal, a lot of Blazer brass. We shot a little bit of Atlanta Arms competition ammo, and it ran that as well. Now, the gun actually comes with two different recoil springs, one for light ammo, one for heavy. It says subsonic, but what it means is light. Now, I only used the one, and I used it for all of the ammo types I listed, and we had no failures, which is very good. Now, it did have a failure to lock back. Is that a self-induced malfunction? Yes, it is. But is it also induced because of the very long slide release? Yes, it also is. It has that on both sides, so be aware of that. Now, the second thing, if you do limp wrist this pistol, it will malfunction. And I should say that it did have one malfunction, but it was, again, self-induced. My nephew Bubba limp wristed this a little bit, and it did fail. Now, I assume the limp wristing issue is due to the complexity of trying to spring a gun correctly for everybody. So when you add comps, springing becomes very important, and on top of that, they're trying to run the recoil spring based off the amount of gas coming out of the comp versus the amount of grip that you give the gun. That's kind of how every comp gun is. That's kind of how every gun is. They're trying to run the recoil spring that's right for most people. That's why when you buy really expensive 2011s, most of them come with spring kits, and that's because different people have different grip pressures. I have much more grip pressure than my wife, let's say. So if we were shooting competition, we were trying to get those splits accurately. We got on a camera there and we were watching nosedive and we were watching muzzle flip. Both of us would have dramatically different recoil spring weights because we have a lot different grip pressure. So they try to do that for everybody, and I think that's why they included two, which is nice. That being said, give it a bunch of wrist and you're good to go. Again, as I always say in my reviews or my videos, guns are not toys. They're meant to be used hard. If you're gonna run the slide hard. If you're gonna shoot the gun, hold it strong. If you're gonna load the mag, slam the fucker in there.
Yeah, slam it in there.
Now, as far as the whole spectrum of reliability goes, I would say, especially for a comp gun, especially for a gun that's more geared towards shooting fast, I would say that is very good reliability. I mean, personally, me, I had no issue that I didn't cause, and the only one that we did see was my nephew's, and he was definitely limp wristing. So overall, if you hold the gun firm, it shouldn't be any issue, and if it is an issue, it does come with a lighter spring. Put the lighter spring in there, and you shouldn't have an issue. And if you still do, use hotter ammo, and if you have an issue after that, work out. Now, when it comes to speed and accuracy, the speed was very impressive, especially for the size and weight of the gun. Now, I know it's a full-size gun, but it is very lightweight, kind of like Glock 34 size, so it's more of a do-it-all pistol. So to get the recoil control and the return that we got was really impressive, so I think they did a good job there. Now, as far as the accuracy goes, I actually thought I was gonna get better accuracy than I did. I wish I didn't say that because it has all of the features that I think would lead to good accuracy. It has a really good trigger. It has an optic system. The ergonomics are great. The grip is comfortable, but for some reason, I just couldn't get it to do what I wanted it to do. We were shooting larger groups than I wanted at 25, and then when I went to 75 yards, which I know most people don't shoot, but it's a good representation of what a handgun is capable of. Usually when a gun feels this good in my hand, I can hit 90 to 100% at 100 yards, where we were hitting more like 75% at 75 yards. If that makes any sense to you, I would say I would probably give it like a 7 out of 10 on an accuracy scale. That might have been just me, that might have been just my sample, but it is what it is. Now, I wasn't the only person who shot this. We actually had my wife, we also had Dalton, who is PVU's cameraman, and then we also had my nephew Bubs, and they shot a couple hundred rounds out of this as well, and all of them liked it. Now, in summary, I think it is a really good gun, and I think if you're looking to get into a Terran Tactical, this is not only an affordable way, but it's a very functional way. I think this gun could serve as a pretty decent home defense gun, maybe a duty gun, but it seems to be durable and reliable enough for that. It certainly could be a competition gun, although I don't know what competition you would use, because if you put this in USPSA, like something that I used to shoot, you would be an open division, and you would be up against like $7,000 2011s, and I think you would be wildly outgunned with this. That being said, it is an impressive gun. It is, I would say, worth the money. I'd say it looks cool, and overall, I had a really good time shooting it. I really like the trigger. I like that they added the comp to the Canik, and going forward, if I'm shooting a Canik for fun, it's gonna be this one. So it's certainly a recommendation. I'm gonna probably take it out and shoot some long range with it in the future, because I wouldn't be too shocked if I like this enough to do a 2,000 round review, and we're gonna be doing versus in the future as well. So I wanna continue on with the testing on this and see if the accuracy improves. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you want to see any extra content with this, or if you want to see other gun reviews, I'll tell you what, let me know what review you guys would like to see the most, because I haven't been able to do a lot of 1,000 round reviews lately, but we're finally almost moved in, and I have a whole slew of them coming up. So you guys let me know which one you want to see first. Put it in the comment section, and the #1 comment will come out first. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.
Ruckus! Ruckus! What are you doing?